Hello and welcome to a new episode of the Voices of the Vic podcast. And it's me, Mike Duffy, and today I'm joined by Cam. And it's a little bit of a different one for us. Firstly, it's audio only, sorry, as you can see if you're watching on YouTube. And then secondly, it's a little bit different as well because I think this is only the second ever time a Voices of the Vic has been recorded when the two people on the episode are actually in the same room. I'm joined by Cam, who came to the game with me yesterday, stopped over at mine in Lincoln, and then he's heading back to Wembley shortly. Cam, how's things? It turned out to be a better night than we thought last night, didn't it?
Much better. Yeah. I couldn't have anticipated anything like that. You can probably tell by my voice. I think it's a bit too early to be doing a podcast right now, but that's all right. Yeah, cracking away day last night. I mean, we were all just hoping, can we keep it under 5 or 6? How many is it going to be? And we managed to take them right to the sword. So, yeah, couldn't be much happier with that, to be honest. But yeah, how are you doing?
Yeah, I know what you mean about it being early. I wanted to get some content in before you went back to Wembley, and I thought, well, you're here, so we might as well do something. But
Exactly.
if you're watching along, guys, let us know in the comments. I have bought new mics for us, so I'm really hoping that you can hear myself and Cam clearly, because the last time we did a live podcast with members of Voices of the Vic, it was in a pub, and Ben bought some mics, but they didn't work, and you just couldn't hear us. So let us know in the comments if you can hear me and if you can hear Cam clearly. Otherwise, this will be a complete waste of time. Um, oh, there we go. Pete from Do Not Scratch Your Eyes says we can hear you guys. That's good. Morning, Pete. Hope you're well. Let's start with the beginning, Cam. So, in terms of the formation and the team news, I think we were expecting changes. That's got to be the case. He's not going to go full on strength for Man City because that would just be suicidal. But it was a lot stronger than we thought. And when we saw the team come out, because we were in the kiosk quite early, I think we got in there about 6 o'clock. And when we saw the team news, it was like, oh, you know, it's stronger than we thought. But there was also a change of formation. So just to run through the team, we made it out to be a 3-5-2. So it was Bond in goal, back three of Ogbonna making his debut, Morris and Porteous either side of him, Ebeselli out on the right, Larouci out on the left. Then that in that middle really was Ken Sema loser, and then Ince was just ahead of them, with Bar and I've put Bar and Vata, I've written Vata down, don't know why. Bar and Bio up top. Firstly, what did you make of the team? And secondly, what did you make of the formation change as well? Because it's quite ballsy to change it up. I know last night was a free hit, but I still think it was quite ballsy.
Yeah, I mean, it was interesting personnel that you picked, first of all. It was, we couldn't quite figure it out at first with Ken Sema in there, as well as Larouci. Couldn't quite figure out who's playing where, but yeah, it did look like that 3-5-2, and Ken has played that midfield role once or twice before. It's not common, but he can play there. I don't mind him at all there. So yeah, that was interesting, and I think maybe the thinking was that Larouci might need a bit of cover out wide, and Morris might need a bit of help. So yeah, let Ken sort of defend those wide areas when we're without the ball. So I don't mind that at all. In terms of the sort of change of formation, I think it is something that we needed. Obviously, we both went to Norwich, and
Yeah, we
that
did.
midfield just got cut open like it wasn't there at Norwich. Obviously, needed someone in there. Sorry, needed someone else in there who could maybe just sort of hold their position and maybe make us a bit less open. And I think that's exactly what Loser does. He positions himself very well. He is sort of good at defending space. I think Loser is, and that's exactly what we needed. So yeah, it was nice to see Tom maybe go a little bit more conservative. I have my worries that maybe he wouldn't want to sacrifice his principles. And yeah, I thought the formation change was really effective.
Yeah, I think, you know, we, like you say, I think we're expecting the absolute worst. We were chatting to a couple of guys down in the kiosk area before, Charlie Bush and Samuko from WD18, and I was sort of saying to them, and Gareth as well, Gareth Quinton, I was sort of saying to them, like the general consensus for me was, right, let's try and keep it under 5-0 and let's come away with our head held high a little bit as much as we can against Man City and just come out the game with no injuries. So, excuse me, to see that, and you know, we started the way we did. I say we started the way we did. Watford are currently on this annoying streak of conceding within the first 5 minutes. And last night was game number 4 in a row?
5.
Or was it 5? Yeah, okay. So it was 5. And me and you were looking at the scoreboard, and I said, oh my God, we're actually going to do it. And it would have been typical Watford. For the first game, we don't concede in 5 minutes, would have been against Man City. And you said, why have you just said that?
Yeah, and you said that in the 3rd minute with 2 minutes to go.
No, I'm sure it was around coming just ticked over from 4 minutes. I'm sure of it.
Either way.
Yeah, either way.
Naive.
4 minutes 31, I think, was on the clock, and Jeremy Doku put the visitors ahead. The hosts ahead, because, of course, their front three was insane. I won't go through the whole City team, but, you know, considering Pep would have sort of weakened the side to a Premier League match, you still had John Stones, who scored the equaliser against Arsenal at the weekend. You had Kyle Walker, who played the full 90 against Arsenal at the weekend. Ortega's a good goalkeeper, a very good goalkeeper for backup. He could easily be their number one. You had McAtee, who was on loan at Leicester last season, was it? Sheffield United. I did that last night as well.
Yeah,
I said Leicester, yeah. So a very good Championship player. And then just the normal front three when you rest players of Jeremy Doku, Phil Foden and Jack Grealish. So it was a weakened side for City, but it was a bloody strong weakened side. So, yeah, 4 minutes 31 on the clock, and Jeremy Doku scores. And yes, it's bloody annoying, but on one hand, it's Man City, so am I massively surprised? No. But I think what frustrated me was the manner in which they scored. Why are we trying to play out from the back against Man City? And you actually have a different point to what most do on Twitter. You actually aren't blaming Porteous too much on that one, are you?
No.
So what was your thoughts on the goal overall?
Yeah, my thoughts were, when you're going into a game like that, you sort of have like that little bit of hope at the start. Like it's delusion,
yes.
mainly.
Yeah.
But you sort of think, you know, could we do something today? When you concede that early, it just kills you.
Yeah.
You're thinking, right, how many is it going to be? Yeah, obviously everyone has jumped on Porteous for that. I can understand why, but I think that's more an agenda than anything. I think if it was maybe Matty Pollock that made that mistake, people would be like, well, it was a hospital ball played to him. So yeah, I do think there's this Ryan Porteous agenda going around at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
It is somewhat understandable because he can be a bit of a calamity, but thought he was fantastic yesterday. And yeah, for the goal, it is Uncle Oggy plays him a ball across the line, across the defence. He's already been pressed by the City attacker.
Yeah.
There's nowhere he can go. I mean, he's not facing sort of the other end of the pitch, so he can't clear it. He can only go backwards there. And there's a City attacker marking Jonathan Bond. So nothing Porteous could do, in my opinion. Jonathan Bond does really well, though, to sort of... He sent the attacker wide.
Yeah.
Completely stopped the shot. And then, yeah, ball comes back in. James Morris, I thought, was actually really poor for this goal. He just completely gives up sort of defending his area. And he just charges at the ball. And then, yeah, it just gives Doku the freedom of the box, really. And yeah, it's easy finish for him. Nothing Bond could do, but yeah, just quite frustrating that we can't seem to get it right in the first 5 minutes. I might even. I know this will be what stops it, but I might even put money on Sunderland getting one in the first 5 because it seems like a banker at the moment.
Yeah. Well, that's it. If we collectively put money on Sunderland scoring the first 5 minutes, then happy days. It'll certainly stop the rot. But I think there's that thing in the back of their minds now with Watford, with that first 5 minutes being a thing, and it's obviously playing on their minds. And we're probably too overcautious, which doesn't help. And look, like you say, you give Doku the space like that, and he's going to score goals, and that's what players like him do. But I think you're right. I think Porteous needed that game last night, to be honest. I know a lot of people are blaming him for the goal. I agree with what you say. I think the ball to him originally isn't a very good one, and there's not a lot he can do. But I think he still has sort of had that grey cloud hanging over him from the Euros. Obviously, not a great start to the Euros for him. His country don't often get to the Euros. Sorry, any Scottish Watford fans that might be listening. That wasn't a dig, I promise. And they're up against the host the first game, and then he goes and does that. And we almost had Porteous against Gundogan Part 2 last night, but Gundogan didn't come on. So, yeah, I think he needed that because a couple of times we've seen him already this season. I think he's looked a little bit shaky. If you're listening, guys, let us know your thoughts on Porteous and anyone else really, because I think there's definitely a few players that'll be mentioned, because I think there are a few that can come out of that really, really, looking good and with their heads held. I mean, they can all come out of it with their heads held high, but some more than others. But 5 minutes in, and we've conceded. Tick that off the list. Death, Taxis, and Watford conceding first in the 5 minutes. But that's when we thought, right, okay, how many is it going to be? And me and you were both, without going too much into information, but me and you were both dying for the toilet, and we were like, right, well, we'll just wait for them to score their inevitable second in a couple of minutes, and then we'll go and come back, and we won't have missed anything. And the game kept going on and on and on, and I thought, do you know what? There's a chance here that we might not actually concede another one straight away. We actually, I thought, reacted really well. Now, look, you look at the possession stats. Man City are always going to have so much possession, and a lot of the time they did, have us pinned in. They were passing it around at the back, but they sort of had us pinned into our own half. That is to be expected. It's Man City. They're the best team in Europe right about now, and I must admit, 21 minutes on the clock, Quadwo Bar really showing his strength. He outmuscles his man, shoulder to shoulder, barges him down, that 16-year-old lad, that Branthwaite, I think his name was, and he equalises, and we are going absolutely mental in that away end. We've just made it 1-1 against Man City, and we're like, and even the categories, you can probably hear the cat in the background. This is a beauty of live podcasting with two cats in the flat. But we're in dreamland. We're thinking, I can't believe this. We 1-1 and we really reacted well. And then David Webb thought, no, actually, you're not a big six side. We're not going to give you this one because, I mean, at the time, we didn't know, did we, that he disallowed the goal?
We had no idea.
No, we were too busy going absolutely mental. And then, people sort of stopped celebrating. I was like, oh, okay. And we soon found out it was disallowed. And even the Watford admin said, we don't know what for. And then I think it started to trickle through that it was a foul. And then I watched it when we got back to the car last night. And I'm not being funny, Cam, but Haaland does that week in, week out.
Yeah.
And it's shoulder to shoulder. Quadwo Bar is a lot stronger than that 16-year-old lad.
Yeah.
So of course he's gonna win that battle. And it's just frustrating because that shouldn't have been disallowed. It's 1-1, and who knows where the game could have gone from there.
No, I don't want to dwell on it too much because, quite frankly, I am pissed off about it.
Yeah.
That was a perfectly fine goal by Bar. He was absolutely full of it yesterday.
Oh.
Just they could not deal with him.
No.
It was actually a weird one because Quadro Bar, there was sort of a Mandela effect where I was certain he was at Man City because I saw, deal agreed. Man City have signed him from Rochdale, and then a few months later we signed him from Rochdale. So yeah, there's interesting dynamic there, but he was absolutely top quality, and that finish was very, very nice. The run as well, just he was doing it all night, wasn't he? They just could not keep him quiet. So I am absolutely gutted for him that hasn't stood. It really should have stood. That goal by Haaland against Nottingham Forest has been doing the rounds a lot lately. Where it looks like the Forest player is going to be first to the ball. Haaland just bodies him out of the way. It is a perfectly fair goal, but it's exactly what Quadro Bar did. So why does Haaland's goal stand? Why doesn't Bar's? And the answer is because they're Man City and we're Watford and we're at the Etihad and we're the smaller team. So yeah, that is really just gutting. But yeah, hopefully we see a lot more of Bar starting on Saturday. Hopefully.
Yeah, fingers crossed. We both said that. Pete says here, you're absolutely right, Cam. Pete says here, Bar failed a medical when he was due to go to Man City. Lucky for us. So they're obviously, if City are aware of him and sniffing round, he's got to be decent. And to be honest, I think the couple of loan spells he's had out, have obviously benefited him, and I was really worried he was going to end up the same way as, I don't know, someone like Dapo Mabude, for example.
That's exactly who I thought
of. We brought him in from Rangers, was it?
Yeah, it was someone Scottish.
And then he had a loan spell at Wimbledon, and I don't actually think he's got a club at the moment.
Right.
So that tells you all you need to know. So I was a little bit worried that Bar was maybe going to head down that route. The route I like to call the Alex Jakubiak route. Now, he was just before you started.
No, he was there briefly when I started. I was fully aware of him.
Right, okay.
He scores for fun against me on FM to this day.
Yeah, he was knocking him in the Scottish League, to be fair.
Yeah.
But yeah, I completely agree with Bar. I mean, he's come back and he's an absolute brute of a man now.
And what a step up it is going from, playing for Burton. He was good at Burton. They liked him out there, but he didn't score that many goals, didn't get that many assists, and his season was cut short by injury.
Yeah.
And he's gone from that to absolutely bossing it away at Man City. It's just such a good step up for him.
Yeah, and when their team news come out, we sort of looked at their squad, and you try and pick holes in a Man City squad. Good luck. It was bloody tough. But you sort of almost thinking, well, you've got the strength and power of Bar. He could sort of ruffle a few feathers, especially against, I know, granted, he wouldn't be on the same side as Walker, but he might have had him strength-wise. And then they had a 16-year-old lad at the back, and obviously that's how that disallowed goal. But I suppose that's what happens. I mean, the referee last night was David Webb. For any Watford fans that want a reminder of who David Webb is, think back to Peterborough away when Cassetti got sent off, and that is your man David Webb. So it wasn't even a Premier League official, which I was quite surprised at, considering it was at Man City. I thought they'd be nailed on to have a Premier League official, but hey ho. But yeah, 21 minutes that was, and then the game obviously continued in that pattern of Man City dominate the ball, and then 38 minutes, it's just a good team goal by Man City. Mateus Nunes scored the goal 38 minutes in, and we go 2-0 down. At that stage, Cam, even though we'd obviously scored and it was ruled out, was you of the opinion of, right, okay, 2-0 just before half-time, this is how it's going to go, there's probably going to be a few more goals? Or were you thinking, no, do you know what, even though it's 2-0, we're still showing a bit of fight here, we can get something?
No, that's the last thing I'm thinking. As was rightly pointed out by the gentleman in front of us, 2-0 was a half-time score in the FA Cup final. Yeah. And all I'm thinking is, you know what, we have done all right. I don't think they've threatened, but I don't think they've really got the better of us too often. But we aren't coming back into this, and we are going to concede plenty more goals. I didn't think Tom Cleverley would really throw the kitchen sink at it like he did. I thought he'd, sort of just get us out of here and get us to Saturday kind of mentality. So, yeah, I thought there were plenty more Man City goals to come. And at 2-0, I'm thinking, yeah, we got no chance here.
Yeah. Well, let's jump into those changes because I know we have to be out of here in about 25 minutes. So we'll not stay on for too much longer. I don't want you to miss your train. 61 minutes in, and we were sort of thinking, what I actually said to you, what would you do? Because we're 2-0 down, there's an hour on the clock, and, do we bring on subs and really go for it because it's a free hit and you might as well? And then I says, but we don't want to get battered. And you says, well, obviously with it being a cup, you don't have to worry about goal difference. But then to caveat that, you do worry about if it's an absolute drubbing, the confidence of the players.
Yeah.
But 61 minutes, Cam, he brings on Tom Delibashiru and Chak for Larouci and Bio respectively. And he reverted back to the old formation. So that meant that when Tom Delibashiru come on, Ken Sema went out on the left and TDB slotted in the middle next to Loser. And then Chak come on for Bio, which meant that Ince and Chak were the two behind Bar. That's how I interpreted
It looked that
anyway,
way, yeah.
And do you know what? Even though we reverted back to that usual formation, I think those changes were positive because, as always, Chak come on and he didn't lose the ball. Like every run he went on, they couldn't get near him. But again, Cam, it's just that final product with Chak. I really don't want to sound like I'm slagging him off because it's far from it. But if he could just sort of round off that final product, then my God, he'd score a lot of goals and he'd assist a lot. And don't forget as well, he got an assist last night, so add that to your list. But yeah, very, very good positive changes. And talk to me about Chak last night.
Yeah, every time you think he's met his match, I said it last night, he seems to go up another level. I mean, you're thinking, surely this championship team is going to figure out what he does and they'll sort of crowd him out of the game. Nope, he gets better. And then you go to Man City, you're thinking, well, surely Chakvetadze is not going to have much of an impact away at the champions.
Yeah.
And he goes and absolutely bosses it. I mean, they couldn't get near him. And
Nah.
to say that about Man City couldn't get near him, a Watford player in the championship, that is such high praise. And like I've got no end of praise for Chakvetadze. He's not going to be at Watford for long, unfortunately.
No.
I love every single Watford game. After it, we see that Georgian football account.
Yeah.
Just posting, no end of clips about him. Just constant praise. And we seem to have gained hundreds of Watford fans over from Georgia.
Yeah.
And, why not? Because Chakvetadze is absolutely fantastic. If he keeps up like this, I don't think we even keep him in January, to be honest.
Yeah.
Which is
I
a worry.
thought of that.
But yeah, that really, really impressed with him. And the subs Tom made, I think changing back to that system. I do have my problems with the 3-4-2-1. I think it's far too open.
Yeah,
but
we saw that against Norwich.
Yeah. Well, Coventry as well.
Well, yeah.
But for the state the game was in, where we're sort of chasing 2 goals, we need something that's gonna, take it to City a bit more. I think that 3-4-2-1 was perfect, and we did exactly that. We took it to City. We got our better players on the ball in good positions, particularly Chakvetadze. So yeah, really, really impressed with particularly Tom Cleverley's performance last night.
Tom Cleverley's performance.
Yeah.
Right. I thought.
No.
Yeah. No. Listen, he could have gone. He could have gone the complete opposite way, but I think he's come out of that showing himself as a good young English coach.
Yeah.
I've not watched any Man City interviews, but I'd be intrigued to see if Pep mentions it because, to be fair to Pep, whenever he comes up against a good team, he does tend to give them praise. So I'd be intrigued to know if he said anything about Clevs. Because
after he moans that they played 2 days ago.
Of course, yeah. They're only on a few million a month probably.
Yeah.
So they've got every right to moan. But yeah, let's talk through the other subs as well, because we obviously that was a positive change, and Czech certainly livened it up, and we were getting forward. And to be honest, we were getting forward a lot more than I thought we would against Man City, and that's just Czech for you.
More than we ever have, really.
Well, yeah, exactly. And then 75 minutes on the clock, we see another double change. Pollock comes on for Eboseli and Vata comes on for Bar. Now, I must admit, I was quite surprised that it was Bar that was getting hooked. I thought maybe Ince would be the one to get hooked. But hindsight's a beautiful thing. I'm glad Ince didn't. Pollock coming on for Eboseli, obviously that moved Porteous out to right wing back.
Yeah.
We've seen him there before.
Preston away.
That was it. That was the game I
believe
was thinking of.
We were 1-1
Yeah.
at that point, or 2-1.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
we went and won 5-1.
We
So
did indeed.
there
Yeah.
seems to be a bit of an effect with Porteous at right wing back.
Yeah.
He sort of awkwardly made it work last night, I thought.
Yeah, well, do you know what? Especially after we scored, sorry to jump the gun, but especially after we scored, he really was trying to get us forward on every attack.
Yeah.
And like Man City, I remember they sprayed a ball from their goalkeeper out to the touchline, and he ran and he just jumped and headed it back towards Man City's goal. And every chance he had, or every opportunity he had, he was trying to get the ball forward. But obviously, we saw. I mean, we've talked about Bar already. What was your thoughts on Eboseli, because he made his first start in a Watford shirt? I quite like the look of the kid, and to be honest, I'd probably be looking at start. I mean, Andrews injured against?
Oh, they said. Did they
Norwich?
say he had a little hamstring issue that they wanted to?
Yeah, possibly. I don't know where I've got Andrews being injured from.
I think the club tweeted it with the team news.
Right. Okay.
Could have completely made that up.
Yeah. We that might be absolute.
You cannot accuse us of doing research.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, why would we do research? I've written notes here, but half of it's just doodles. So, Eboseli, yeah. What were your thoughts on him? Because we saw a good chunk of him and what he's about. And I'll be honest, I quite like the look of him. I think he was a bit naive of losing the ball a bit too much, and I think we saw sort of signs of that when he come on against Coventry. Was it he come on?
Yeah.
On the right hand side, I think it's burned into my retina. He ran down to that right hand side, and we had a chance to cross it. This was against Coventry, by the way. Had a chance to cross it, and then he tried to come back on himself and ended up falling over the ball. So maybe he's a bit naive of keeping hold of the ball too long or letting it go too easily. But I was quite impressed. What were your thoughts about him?
Yeah, I thought he was really good. I mean, first of all, defensively, he did a really good job on Jack Grealish, I thought.
Yeah, he did. He kept him quiet.
We seem to give Grealish sort of the freedom of the Etihad.
Yeah.
But then he found himself 1v1 with Eboseli a lot, and more often than not, it was Eboseli coming out on top.
Mm-hmm.
The link-up he had with Kwadwo Bar on the right-hand side,
yeah,
I thought was really exciting.
Well, we've not seen a link-up. As soon as you say the word link-up and it's to do with Watford,
I know who you're thinking of.
It's always Kiko and Sarr, isn't it? Always. And
it reminded me of that.
Yep.
That sort of, Eboseli driving forward, Bar making the runs in behind.
Yeah.
It was a really good link-up, and it's something I want to see over in league games now.
Mm-hmm.
I think Ryan Andrews is on sort of a tough run at the moment where he's really struggling to impact games. I don't think he's being positive enough. The cat is going absolutely mental right now. I think he's one of the many Watford fans that won't hear me slag off Andrews. But yeah, I think it is time for maybe a change on the right-hand side.
Yeah.
And Eboseli's put in a wonderful audition for that, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Bar as well. I know we mentioned him earlier. I'd be chucking him straight in against Sunderland. Why not?
But do you put him in as the number 9 or as one of the 10s? Because a lot of people have got problems with Daniel Jebison right now.
Yeah.
And I think it would be
he's
hard.
crap, isn't he? We write him off. So.
Yeah, he's every of the 100 minutes he's played.
Yeah,
just crap.
it's just crap. Don't know why we're signing. For those that aren't cutting on, we are being sarcastic AF. But yeah, I would bring him in for Kayembe personally.
Yeah, well, I think it'd be harsh to drop Rocco Vata after Norwich. I thought he had quite an impressive game.
Yeah, I think that's fair enough. These are the decisions.
Well,
That's
it's a
why
good
Tom.
problem to have.
Yeah, it is a good problem to have. Absolutely. Um, but yeah, I was impressed with Ebisele. So hopefully we see more going forward in league games, because I know Andrew scored against Norwich, but I don't think he come out of Norwich smelling of roses, to be honest. So
No.
and then we saw 83 minutes. Duomo come on for loser. Duomo's brother was there again, because obviously his first experience of being in the crowd in England was sat next to a group of teenagers, one of them who was dressed as a duck. And obviously he thought, I want some more of that, so
He's
get me in
become a
there.
bit of an ultra.
Yeah, he has. Yeah. He's definitely a regular. I think his cap status will be better than mine.
Yeah.
I think I'm an away cap D, and he's already jumped ahead of me in the queue.
Well, I worry he might just miss out on Luton tickets.
He'll be there. He'll be there. He's the spitting image of Duomo, by the way, because me and Cam actually thought it was Duomo in the Sheffield United game when he was stood with the fans. But we saw him for about 7 or 10 minutes if you had the extra time. Thoughts on him? I know it's tough to try and sum up someone's performance in 7 minutes, but he looked reasonably calm, and he did all right. I'd like to see more of him. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, well, normally it would be tough to sum up a player's performance in 10 minutes,
Yeah.
but I thought Duomo, he was very, very involved when
Yeah.
he came on. Looks like the kind of player, a bit like a loser, where he always wants the ball, and, he wants to get it forwards at all times. I thought his first touches looked really good. I thought his weight of pass looked really good.
Yeah.
And he was moving it on quickly. It's what you want to see from a central midfielder. He looked like he had a fair bit of pace about him too. So, yeah, definitely one to watch. And if we go into the Sunderland game with that 3-5-2,
Mm-hmm.
and I'll be curious to hear what your midfield three would be for that. But I don't see why Duomo can't be picked for that.
Yeah, I think Musa automatically gets in. Tom, if I was going to swap anyone out in that midfield three, it would probably be Tom Delibashira, only because he has a knack of unfortunately disappearing in games and then suddenly bursting into the game and being like, wow, fucking hell, this is Tom Delibashira we want to see.
Yeah,
Like that first half against Coventry.
that's right.
He might as well have been sat next to me on this fucking sofa watching the game, because he didn't do it. He just couldn't get into the game. Then that second half, he's getting the ball, he's driving us forward every chance he can. So I think if you had a gun to my head, and you offered to me to watch Watford, I'd probably tell you to pull the trigger. But I'd definitely say it would probably be Tom Delly that would make way for Duomo. But like you say, it's a good problem to have, and hopefully that's another one that the scouting network at Watford have unearthed a bit of a gem there. And then a nice little note. Oh, well, actually, before we do that, just very quickly, we saw Loser start for, was that his first start? He
Since the
started in
injury,
the
he started the Plymouth and MK Dons
yeah,
games,
of
got
course.
injured against Plymouth.
Thoughts on Loser quickly? Yeah, thoughts on Loser.
I was impressed.
Yeah.
Like I said earlier, I think he positions himself really well, and it sort of helps keep that midfield a bit more compact.
Yeah.
I'd argue he's a better defender than Tom Delly and Musa,
Yes.
but also his qualities on the ball are exactly what you need against a team like Man City if you want to pull off an upset. You need to play your most technically gifted player, I think, and he's definitely thrown his hat in the ring for league starts if we switch to that 3-5-2. I'd be putting him in there personally at the weekend. I think the midfield's the problem at the moment.
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
He is a direct answer to that problem. So I would definitely be putting him in on Saturday. I thought he was really good yesterday. And it would be very, very nice if we could get Imran Loser back to his best.
Yeah, absolutely. He obviously endured a bit of a tough time under Valerian Ismail and all that stuff with Instagram stories and whatnot. And I'd love to find out one day what actually happened. And
Yeah,
I'm sure if he ever leaves or retires in however many years,
he's welcome on Voices of the Vic.
yeah, absolutely. I'm sure I'm sure Andrew French will get a good interview telling all. But
well, hang on, another midfielder has maybe thrown his hat in the ring.
go on.
Tom Ince, what do you
Tom
reckon?
Ince, well, I was just going to talk about him actually, but I thought he had a really good game last night. You need that experience in games like that. It's all well and good throwing these youngsters in, and I thought, that's not slagging the youngsters off. I thought they gave a very good account of themselves. But you need that balance of the experience, and Tom Ince he's got that experience, and I think he brought that sort of calm head to the team, because when we pulled the goal back, and certainly when we thought we'd equalise, we could have gone absolutely hell for leather, and players like Tom Ince just sort of keep it calm on the pitch, and I thought he had a good game yesterday. The Carabao Cup is his cup, and granted we're out of it now, but he must have been, or must be at the moment, one of the top scorers in the competition.
Yeah,
because he's got 4 altogether now in the Carabao Cup.
he's our top scorer.
Yeah, he's our top scorer. Yeah, there you go. Tells you all you need to know. But yeah, I thought we'd see a lot more of him than we have. I'll be honest, in league games, and it was certainly pointing to that in pre-season.
He was the star of the show in pre-season.
Well, yeah, exactly. So yeah, the Ince goal was what we'll talk about next. You want to talk about the build-up, because I need to let the neighbour in. So
okay.
You talk about that.
Yeah, I mean, it was a typical Georgie Chakvetadze break. We sort of found ourselves with the ball. Georgie, drove forward as he does.
Yeah.
Tried to play through ball to Ince, got a little bit unlucky with that one. I don't think it was a poor idea. And then it just sort of bounced back to him. Tried it again, right ball this time.
Mm-hmm.
And it is a beautiful finish from Ince.
It is. It just stuck in. I was still laughing at that. I literally, as you were talking about, as I was talking about Ince and what he brings to the team, I saw the neighbour walk past you. So I live in a block of flats, and they live directly above us. And she's obviously forgotten a key, so she was like, "Can you buzz me in?" And I was like, "For God's sake!" Like, imagine we did this professionally. Fucking hell, it would be a shambles.
That would not happen on Do Not Scratch Your Eyes.
No, exactly. Yeah. Pete's probably watching this, laughing his arse off, thinking, "We don't have this on Do Not Scratch Your Eyes."
Amateurs.
Yeah, amateurs. Yeah. We really bring the Watford podcast reputation right down. But yeah, it was a brilliant finish. To be honest, when he first left his foot, sometimes you can tell that they just go in.
Exactly that.
I didn't think it did. I thought it was just going to sneak past the post.
Oh, really?
So to see it drop in the back of the net, I was like, "Oh my God!" And 86 minutes that was, and I was like, "Oh my God!" Like 2-1, could we? And then was there 3 minutes of added on time? 4 minutes, and I can't believe I'm about to say this, Cam, but if anyone looked like they were going to get a goal late on, it was us. We were putting bodies forward.
Had them panicking.
We did, and we were getting forward, and we weren't doing any of this crap where we get so far forward and then think, no, we'll go back. We were really trying to knock on that door, and like you say, I think we had Man City on the ropes for that last few minutes, and there was that free kick, and then I can't think. My memory's not great at the best of times, but who had that chance where all they needed to do was just pass it? I think it might have been Shaq himself.
Chakvetadze sort of drove into the box.
That's it.
To be honest, he could have shot.
Yeah.
He was sort of being pulled back a bit.
Yeah.
I thought maybe we could be getting a penalty here. I don't know.
But at Man City?
Well,
okay.
No. He tried to play the pass, and I think it was Guardiola that intercepted it. But oh my word, we really took him to the sword there.
Yeah.
Just to give you an idea of how sort of panicked Man City were, Kyle Walker actually had the ball at one point in his sort of on the edge of his area. He wasn't under too much pressure. But then all of a sudden, I think it's Vata charged at him.
Yes.
Walker tried to play a crossfield pass and just completely mishit it out of play.
Yeah.
That's England international experience, Premier League winner, Kyle Walker
Yeah.
never really puts a foot wrong, and we're making him do that. That's how panicked we had them.
Yeah, and I said to you coming out the ground, that's probably the happiest I've ever been coming out of the ground after losing.
Yeah.
And it's almost weird. I might get a few comments in the comment section after this, but I almost felt like we'd got something out of the game even though we'd lost.
No,
I
you
think
are right.
it was because of how many woes we've had at Man City. I mean, my last time to the Etihad, it was your first time, so it's not a bad first time to go.
No.
Look, there's been worse ones. My first time was at FA Cup game where we went 2-0 up and then lost 4-2. But I mean, we were talking to people that their last game there was the 8-0 and they've seen us lose 5-0 and 6-0. And so to come out of there 2-1 thinking, I'm a bit disappointed. We could have nicked that and gone to penalties. That's a massive improvement. And
definitely,
we all joked a few weeks back, if we were going to ever beat Man City, it would be under Cleves because of the way that he's got the feel-good factor back.
Especially after losing 4-1 to Norwich.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that would have been so Watford. But we were like, we really did give a good account of ourselves. So we kept a couple of, like you say, we kept Grealish quiet. I know he assisted the first goal, but other than that, I think we kept him fairly quiet. Phil Foden.
Foden did nothing.
No, didn't really have a sniff. There was a part in the game where Grealish was getting some abuse about where he's from. I'll not repeat the swear word, but you can imagine it starts with C and it ends in T. And they were referring to where he's from. And I was stood there and I was like, this is awkward. Because Jack grew up he went to school about 5 minutes from where I went to school. So that was nice and awkward. But we really did knock on the door, and those players definitely deserve. I always feel a bit. Listen, I'll always clap Watford off, but sometimes it's hard to do so, and you do so through gritted teeth, especially after the Norwich game. It was tough to stand there and clap the players off after they've just lost 4-1. But I was happy to stand there last night and give them the plaudits, and we were really loud. That atmosphere in the away end was superb again. I think we've been brilliant in terms of support so far this season.
Even the day trippers were getting involved.
So many half and half scarves. But yeah, one man I just want to finish on as well, just to say how well he played, was Jonathan Bonds. Granted, he doesn't fill me with confidence, but he made 2 or 3 really good saves, which, if you think about it, that was the difference between us getting absolutely battered and us coming away thinking we could have nicked on it. So I think, yes, there are obvious flaws to his game, and yes, he doesn't fill me with confidence. And yes, he comes on and the first thing he does is a Cruyff turn and almost concede, the example there being Norwich. But I think he made some really important saves last night, and I think that will do his confidence a world of good as well.
And it's more than that, he actually looked confident and comfortable. When crosses came in,
he
sort of looked like he backed himself. Someone we haven't really touched on much, a debutant,
Ogbonna. Yes, Uncle Ogge.
Yeah, I thought he looked really comfortable.
Yeah.
I think that middle of the back three is perfect for him. He moved the ball a lot quicker than Sierralta does, and he doesn't move like a 36-year-old. I'll tell you that.
No, he doesn't.
He looked like he still had a bit of pace to him. So I'd be very happy to see him keep his place for Sunderland. Yeah,
so you thinking Ogbonna and then Porteous and Pollock over sides? That's pretty strong.
Toss up between Porteous and Morris. I'd probably edge towards Porteous.
To be honest, I think Morris held his own last night.
I thought he did all right. Yeah. Obviously, first goal, I thought he was a bit all over the place.
Yeah, of course.
That happens against Man City, so I don't hold that against him.
Let's put it this way. When we saw Morris on the team sheet and we were like, shit, Morris against Man City, he didn't put in the performance we all thought he would.
No.
So, yeah, I think he's coming on leaps and bounds this season. Of course, there'll be some bumpy moments in the road. But, I think overall, I can't believe it, but we're actually happy with how we performed at Man City. And I said to Cam last night when we were in the kiosk, I said to you, I says, shall we do a podcast in the morning because we'll be together? And you're like, yeah. I says, 5-0 and a half decent performance, that will be the cut-off. So the fact that we're coming away and we almost took it to penalties. I mean, look, we're saying all this. We could have gone to penalties and missed every single one,
Yeah,
but that's not the point.
I feel
is
like
it?
we've dodged a bullet.
Yeah, possibly. But yeah, not to be any more in the Carabao Cup. It's been the first time in a long time that we've progressed past first round. And then, of course, we draw Man City in the third round. So I can't wait for the same to happen in the third round of the FA Cup. And we'll be back at Man City probably, or Chelsea,
Brilliant.
or Liverpool,
Bring
or
it
Arsenal. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, as Cam's mentioned a couple of times, we are back in action on Saturday. The games are coming thick and fast now, actually. We're back in action on Saturday against Sunderland at home. Are they still top or are West Brom top? Either way, they're up there and they've only lost once against Plymouth.
Yeah.
But Cleverley's not been beaten at home yet, and that includes last season.
Top.
Yeah, and that includes last season as well. And his first victory as Watford interim manager, remember, was against Sunderland, a Ryan Andrews goal. And then the Tuesday, we're against Preston, at Preston. They've got a new manager, Paul Heckingbottom. Good appointment, I think that is. I quite like that appointment.
Very Preston.
Yeah. And then the following Saturday, we are at home to Middlesbrough. So 3 games in very quick succession. Welcome back to the Championship, Watford. And hopefully we'll be back on these podcasts talking about 3 points in all of them. Not overall. I wouldn't be very happy with 3 points in the next 3 games.
Great.
But yeah, we'll be back on probably Sunday, I'd imagine. I don't know who. We'll be back on Sunday to talk about the Sunderland game. But thanks for tuning in. It's been a little bit different for us this time round. And we finished bang on time because I've got to go and drop Cam off at the train station in 5 minutes. And yeah, thanks for watching. If you're rewatching this and you like the video, don't forget to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button as well, so you're notified every time that we go live. And make sure you're following us on all social media platforms: Facebook, Twitter or X, whatever you call it, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. But till next time, come on, you Horns.